How's it going, guys? Back again, Unranked Podcast. Got myself here, Grant. We also have.
Elijah, thanks for tuning back in. We're just in the midst of the first round of the NBA playoffs here, so we're
Yeah,
just gonna try to take a quick look at first up just some of the younger players and the impact that they're having on the league playoffs this time around, and trying to kind of start with that. So
yeah,
uh, yeah, you ready to kick it off though?
yeah. No, absolutely. So yeah, like you said, I mean, for a great first start to the first round. I mean, I don't think there's really any blowouts. A couple of them got kind of out of hand later in the game, but in the fourth. But yeah, I mean, just from like some of the younger up and coming players, definitely was very impressed by Luka. Not surprised by his stat line, but like going into LA like that, getting a big win, against this is a team that people are saying, is a favorite, trying to beat the Lakers this year. Move like purposely lost to two of the worst teams in the league to try and, match up with the Lakers a little bit later on than sooner um in the
Playoff picture.
playoffs. Yep. And then but yeah, I mean I think overall like Luka, Trae Young, I mean hitting that shot, with point 0.9 seconds left in the Garden, 15,000 fans cussing him out, just making fun of him, just doing what New York fans do best. He did his thing. Devin Booker, 34 points. He's really stepped up. And Chris Paul, went down with looks like he might have a pinched nerve or something like that. John Morant, I mean that last night that was probably one game people kind of forgot about.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
on his back half of it was the last part of the last game of the weekend, 9:30, 10 o'clock. People kind of assumed that was going to be a easy one for Utah, but John Morant made sure to kind of crash that party. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned all of those players. I'm going to kind of touch on all of those as well. I would also throw, even though they lost, I would throw Tatum into that equation. As far as just, I feel very safe to say that between Trae Young, John Morant, Luka, Devin Booker, and Tatum, one of those five guys is probably the future face of the league, or I don't know if any of them are necessarily the next LeBron or next Kobe, but they're definitely you can kind of build the league's image around every one of those guys. They're all exciting. They're interesting to watch. A lot of them play in big time markets. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, I truly believe that of this group of guys, they're going to be here to stay for the next 10, 12 years, as far as we'll be seeing them into May and June, making big plays, for the foreseeable future. So it's really exciting to
Yeah,
see, some of these young guns step up to the plate, and be fearless.
yeah,
I think, John Morant, I loved him in college. I got to watch him play a handful of times in college, and, he's transitioned almost better than I thought he would. I thought he was going to be good, but his game is
overachieving
fun.
for sure.
He looks like in the ilk of a Derrick Rose, a younger Derrick Rose. He looks in the ilk of a Russell Westbrook or something along those lines, where you're
Wall.
just, yeah, John Wall, perfect example. We're freakishly athletic, a bit taller for a point guard, and do not let them get a full head of steam because they look like a track star.
Yeah,
So, I would put him in that category. Luka, I think he's the most interesting of them all, because I doubt Luka's even more athletic than either one of us, but he's so crafty.
yeah,
He knows how to, get the defender on his ass and just use him right. He knows all the little things. He almost plays like an old guy at the gym, where he just knows how to use his body perfect and angles and that type of stuff.
yeah,
So it's going to be real exciting and interesting to see how he develops. Because he has a kind of a complete game now, but if he really gets that jumper a little more solidified, I don't know how you can stop him, especially with that team they have around with Porzingis and Tim Hardaway. And if you keep that nucleus together,
yeah,
uh, they're going to create problems.
yeah,
So yeah, and just to wrap it all up, Devin Booker, he's not exactly as young as any of these guys, but he's still fairly young. First time in the playoffs.
24.
Yeah, still very young. First time in the playoffs, did not shy away at all, stepped up, and that was kind of the big thing we talked about last time around, is how many of these younger players will be able to step up, and
Mm-hmm.
I was very impressed by all of these guys we named. Yeah, so I just think it's interesting to see how this would all play out, and which one of these guys can kind of take the mantle from, the LeBron, the KDs, the whoever you may believe have it now, or what guys share this now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think one guy too to keep in mind, Michael Porter Jr. They lost, but he had a quiet 25 points, just an efficient. I mean, if he didn't have the back injuries in college, he probably would have been number one or number two overall.
yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's just another guy that I feel like the league now. I mean, back then, yeah, I'd say like right now, like the last 2, 3, 4 years, it's kind of like 8 to 10 guys that are like, that deal. I think now we're kind of hovering around. Can you think about like Zion too?
Yeah.
Now we're kind of hovering around like, 10 to 15 guys that can just like, that just are just doing their thing.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm not discounting Zion at all.
yeah.
I
I was
think
just
that's
saying
who
that's like
the
other guys that can like,
yeah.
kind
I
of
think
like,
that's who the league wants to be the future face of the league is
yeah,
Zion. I think he's making it difficult for them by
yeah,
showing up 300 pounds, by constantly getting hurt, by I think he missed the last 3 weeks of the season with like a broke finger or a toe or something. Something that I think um, other players may have found a way to push through.
hmm
So I think that's kind of me. And I'm personally kind of hard on Zion. I think he's obviously a great player, but I think I have a hard time getting behind the guy that the league wants us to get behind, especially when I'm looking at Zion compared to John Morant, saying that these two guys don't even look close. And so it's kind of interesting. I think they expanded the playoffs in 2020 into the bubble to get Zion in, and they fell on their face. And then this year, he didn't get in, and Zion is at home, and John Morant is probably in a place that the league would have thought they would have been in.
yeah.
So I'm always kind of rooting for the underdog, the guy that maybe have a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
hmm
I think that just pushes them forward.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think what's so crazy too is like he's having all these like weight and like injury problems. He averaged 27 a game this year
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah,
Like it's
very
definitely
impressive.
there. It's just like he just can't really put together a decent stretch of games. I mean they're like having to rest him and just like getting injured and load management all that and they his team. I think they're one of those teams that probably kind of trying to blow them up too to where maybe kind of bring some new blood in, get rid of some of those younger guys, and get more veteran leadership in there. But yeah,
Agreed. And maybe they're realizing that Zion isn't going to develop as they thought he would. So they need to blow it up and get players around him to maximize what he can do.
yeah,
I also think Jeff Van Gundy's a horrible coach, and the quicker you get rid of him, the faster that team will look better. I
yeah,
thoroughly believe he'll be out of that team in a handful of years, and they'll be regretting that, just like the Pistons are currently doing.
yeah,
So you get him out of there, then I think Zion's stock automatically goes up. So yeah, that's interesting. One more thing about Zion this year, I noticed that because he is unstoppable with a full head of steam, they wanted him to bring the ball up the court so you can't double team him. And so if he develops his game around that, bringing the ball up the court, becoming a little bit more of a facilitator, yeah, he's the sky's the limit. Sky is the limit, but I think also he could also be his biggest stopper as far as is he going to be in shape? Is he going to find a way to not necessarily that healthy is his issue, but are you going to find a way to stay in shape, find a way to stay healthy, and make it work? So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
But yeah, league's in good hands with these young guns. I think I
And
feel
even
very confident.
other guys you're forgetting about too, like Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just
Right.
they're hurt right now, but it's just like I feel like the depth is just there.
No, I agree. I named these guys in particular because I think all of them, minus Devin Booker's, in their second or first season.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good
yeah,
point.
yeah. So somebody that's in 20 years ago would be in their sophomore, junior year of college is leading teams into the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I think, and not to say that I love Devin Booker. He's great, or not Devin Booker, but Donovan Mitchell. He's an awesome player. But I
hmm
still don't know if he is exactly the same ilk as some of these players that once they get to his age in level of maturity, I think their separation will show.
Yeah.
But he's definitely as good or better than any one of these players currently.
Yeah, he needs to get out of Utah, but he already strapped himself in and signed the max deal.
Hey, you got to get the bag.
Right? Yeah. If he ain't gonna do anything, he definitely will get paid if
Yeah,
nothing else happens. So
no, for sure.
yeah. So yeah,
Uh,
we're gonna go ahead and transition into probably the most important I would say series in the first round. It's Lakers and the Suns. Um, I think my take on the game, I mean, I think the Lakers, that was probably the worst I've ever seen, like LeBron and AD play together. They found a way to only lose by 9 points. Obviously, there was a difference there with Chris Paul like being hurt, so that'll be something that just kind of monitor going forward. Um, but I mean, I saw something that said they missed 11 free throws, like 9 or 10 layups,
Yeah.
8 to 10 turnovers like that, and they only lost by 9. So I think if they clean up some of that, I wasn't really very concerned about game one. Like for some reason, LeBron he just doesn't win game one for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, it never fails. He usually comes back, second or game two, and usually is able to steal one. But yeah, I think my take on it is that as well as Anthony Davis, he just has to play better. Like I've never seen like lately. I know he's was hurt for a good little while, but I mean just you can't be going to halftime with no rebounds.
Right. No, I agree.
He shot like 4 15 from the field. It's just he knows too that it's on him. So I expect him to definitely come out and have a monster game.
Yeah. So you say I agree with you. For some reason, LeBron seems like he tends to throw game one. I don't want to say throw it, but he tends to.
Yeah, I mean
I've been hearing. I don't want to use this word because I've been hearing it on ESPN and other bullshit like that. But he uses the game to fill out game one or whatever. So it's more or less use it as a tester. Now I do think there's a lot of truth to that. But I would say this series, if they can get through this series, I think they're going to go on a run well into the Western Conference Finals. I think, and we talked about this last podcast of them being out of shape, them being as far as missing games and not having the camaraderie of playing together and all that stuff. I think it's going to be harder for them to pull out this series than it would be an upstream series, just due to them being out of shape, not having the cohesion together, the spacing, all that good stuff, getting used to playing with Drummond. So I think
Drummond gonna get sat down here soon.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't think AD wants to play the 5.
Yeah.
So if you set Drummond down, are you gonna let Aiden go crazy in the paint? Are you gonna let because Anthony Davis proves he doesn't want anything to do with the post or the paint. So I don't know if you take him out. I still think Dre's probably a better option than Gasol. I think maybe you could move like a Montrezl Harrell into a 4-5 and let both him and AD out there, but then that might mess up the bench play. So I think they really need to figure that out because there's going to be obviously LeBron's going to have a much better game than 18 points. I imagine that as well. But I do think they're in a little bit of fire in this. I think if you can get through this series, you'll theoretically hit your stride again. But I think you're going to have to kind of struggle through this one. And I mean, you did mention that they didn't play that great as well, but I don't think the Suns played a great game either. Chris Paul, I think, had like 8 points. He got injured. Jay Crowder was 0-4 from 3-point line. I mean, they're gonna hit play better as well. So I think it's definitely the most intriguing series to me as far as just whether LeBron can pull it out again, whether Chris Paul is going to come back with one arm. Yeah, it's definitely intriguing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, that it's just crazy to think about. Just circling back to 11 free throws missed and 9 layups. That's 30 points.
Yeah,
it's just kind of crazy to be leaving that amount of points on the court like that. But yeah, I could definitely see this going like 6 or 7 games. It may go 7. Just because I mean I can it's gonna be tough. Like you hit it all on the head. I mean they're trying to get in shape. They're trying to work on chemistry, spacing. I think they're gonna have to play. I think Harrell can come off the bench, but he's gonna have to play like more minutes, than like Drummond will. I like Drummond. I just it's obvious that he's just not like him and AD are kind of struggling right now to be on the court at the same time together.
Yeah.
But they gonna figure it out. This game, like I said, LeBron is usually known to take control of game 2 and kind of set the tone after that. But I expect tomorrow to be a good game. I'm definitely losing a little bit of sleep because of it.
Yeah. As far as the Dre issue, I'm stealing this line from my dad. I was talking to him about it last week. He says Dre is the ultimate dunk stopper on both offense and defense. And it's a good joke, but he's clogging up the lane on both sides. So LeBron can't get into the post or drive like he normally does. AD can't maneuver like he normally would. They're used to that being wide open and just if whether they can get a full head of steam to get into the paint. So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of messing up. I think defense, more or less, he's probably about the same with what you have, but offensively, he is kind of screwing them as far as the spacing and the floor and uh, yeah. So that's interesting. It's interesting. I just actually glanced real quick. They did miss 11 free throws, but they also shot 16 more than the Suns.
Yeah. So that, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the points are there. You know, they're getting the calls. They got the calls yesterday. It was just really a matter of not
Yeah. So I mean, I'm
executing.
saying though, yeah, definitely you made a good point about the missed free throws, but also, are you going to get that many more? Are you going to, you know what I mean? In a regular, that to me, that's a wash.
Mm-hmm.
You miss all those free throws, but then you shot 16 more. So if you give them the same amount, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think that's a bit of a wash. I think the biggest thing is going to be obviously LeBron just putting his game face on and coming to play a little more
Aggressively.
determined. Yeah, yeah, a little more.
He's got to start touching that. He's got to start dancing around 27 to like 32
Yeah,
points. And he got to make his free throws too. Like, you got to, yeah. So they'll definitely be ready. They're going to be
that's why
prepared.
I think. That's why I think if they survive, they'll go on a run because he's still getting his legs back. But you mess around and lose this game too, I think it's almost maybe nailed in the coffin. They go 1-1, I give you it's anybody. But I think if you go down 0-2 and you got to do it all on the road and you're still not back 100% energy and strength, I think you're going to begin to, uh, maybe shoot yourself in the foot and can't get out of it like you used to.
I won't call down 0-2 nail in the coffin. If they find a way to be like in a 3-1 situation, then it's big time trouble.
Yeah.
So I think they got to win tomorrow, though. I think it's like mandatory. I don't think they got time to be trying to.
That's why I'm saying though, if they have to win tomorrow, then it's kind of we're saying the same thing. It's not a guarantee you have to have it, but if you go down 0-2 and then you gotta, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that's too much stress to put on a team who doesn't seem to have it all together yet. They doesn't. Now obviously both players are acting like they're gonna. I seen AD saying, he needs to play more aggressively, but the game before that he was talking about poking the bear. So it's like when you guys just gonna come to play and not have to, go down in order to get the aggressiveness. I think that's kind of a determining factor. And if Chris Paul is really hurt or not, I think that's a big thing. If
Yeah.
he's out there dribbling with one hand and 60% of another one the whole second game, it's probably a wrap. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. I think Chris Paul, I haven't heard anything about his injury, whether he's going to miss or come back. So I imagine he'd play. But yeah. Also, I can't imagine him. He's not the type of guy that he would go out there at 60%. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Oh yeah. I mean, they better with him on the court and have strength than without him. So it's definitely gonna do whatever he needs to in order to be out there.
yeah.
So
Juice him up.
something, yeah.
No.
Cortisone shot, whatever all that stuff kind of looks like.
Yeah, especially this late in his career where he kind of has to, if he goes on a run, he can kind of put a good bow towards the back half of his career. If he could get to a Western Finals or a championship game, maybe he would put that much more of a bow tie on his what's already been an awesome career.
Right.
Just to get that little bit more accolades where you can, winning that championship or getting even to the finals gives you a little bit of they've just a little more.
It's like a guaranteed first ballot.
Yeah, right. Versus saying he never made it out second round.
Right. Yeah, I think he is first ballot, but it's like, I think that'll definitely put him over the top.
Yeah, no, so I think, just to transition to the next topic here, I think this is a good point for this would be, are there any teams, in your personal opinion, NBA teams, NBA players that has to go on a run this year in order to, redeem themselves or prevent the team from being blown up or kind of just that point in their career where if they don't do nothing this year, they'll get knocked a peg or two down.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few that come to mind. I mean, I think the first one is probably gonna be the Clippers easily. If they find a way to lose this this first round, I mean, I can't see Kawhi and Paul George both still being there next season. That's pretty much. I think that's just like. I think that's pressure. I think that's the most pressure. They got to at least go to the finals this year. I think the Sixers. I do think they're going to end up moving on from
Real quick, when
Ben
you say the
Simmons.
finals for the Clippers, you saying NBA finals or
Oh, NBA Finals.
okay?
I think that they talked about it.
Theoretically, let's say they make it to the Western Conference Finals and lose to whoever, they blow them up.
I think so.
Yeah,
I
I agree with you. I just wanted to see what you. Yeah, I think.
yeah, I just think it's like last year, like teams not going to be really be sitting around waiting, you know what I'm saying? Like wasting their time. It's kind of just like, you got to do whatever to
Yeah.
they threw their whole future away for Paul George, which is still just crazy to me to this day. But yeah, I think they're definitely, in my opinion, they have the most pressure. I would say the Sixers. I think they're at least like conference finals or bust. They should get to the conference finals. Even then, it's just like Ben Simmons. How long can I like him and Embiid. I think they're both superstars, but it's just like you're looking at Ben Simmons, a great defender. He's scoring less and less. He's just kind of like, I don't know. He's definitely still doing his thing. Top three finalists for this defensive player of the year. But it's almost one of the things. It's like, well, like, can we bring in somebody else a little bit more firepower to kind of, help out there a little bit? Um,
And somebody like him, they would put him on a chop block, trading block in a heartbeat to get a person that's not half as good as defensively but can shoot. I
Bradley
think it
Beal.
would, yeah, somebody like that. They wouldn't even hesitate, and that team they would become better. I think you can give up that defense and still become better.
Yeah, like they got a rim protector in Embiid. You know what I'm saying? So like he can obviously. I mean, everybody wants a solid like wing defender as well, but it's like in this league, it's kind of like you got people sagging off of you all the way to the rim when you get the ball at the top of the
Mm.
key. It's just kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're becoming a huge liability on that side of things. I also think, I mean, this team, I mean, it's just inevitable, but like the Celtics, they got to do something differently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think Tatum necessarily has anything to prove or anything along those lines. I just think it's time for them to look at other options.
I agree.
And yeah, I mean, I think that'll probably round out, and then Chris Paul too. Like, I don't think he has much more to prove, but it's also just kind of like, how much more can you give us? You know what I mean? Like, how much more is left in you? I don't put the pressure on him as much as I put it on like the Clippers, like the Sixers.
Okay, we have a couple of the same teams here. In it's kind of like in a half-ass order, I would say, but
Okay.
I have the Nets. I
Yeah.
think the Nets, with as all in as they've went, they have three Hall of Famers, they have three MVP type players. Two of them have an MVP. Uh, they have other very solid players around them. So I would say they need to at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously, it's year one and they barely played together. But I would say the fact that they are all healthy now and the East doesn't, I mean, the East isn't as there's nobody you can look to and say they have to beat these guys. I think they're kind of the beast in the East, where even though they're not the number one seed, people look at them as that. So with all that being said, I think they need to at least make it to like the Eastern Conference Finals in
Yeah.
order for this to make sense. Because I mean, if they lose before that, well, I mean, you might as well blow it up now because it won't work.
Yeah.
It's all an experiment. Obviously, being a big KD fan, I'm rooting for him, but I still think Steve Nash was a stupid hire. I think you get him versus Doc Rivers and Embiid in a Eastern Conference championship. I'm picking Doc and his game plan over Steve Nash any day of the week.
Hmm.
So I think they have a lot to prove by not playing defense, jacking up all the threes. Like, that's never proved that it works. And yet we try it every year, every other year with a different set of guys.
Hmm.
So I would say they're near the top of my list as far as pressure and need to do something. I'll
Yeah.
follow that up with the Clippers. The Clippers, if they don't, I think they're going to lose probably like in 6 games from one. I cannot see them getting out of there. I think once they get down another game or so, they're going to probably cash it in. They're going to be looking to go home. They're going to be looking to hang out in LA, and who cares? It's one of
Yeah.
those things where they've already gotten paid. They've already kind of got the steam stole from them last year because they should have won a championship and the Lakers won it. And I kind of think they don't even care really. It's more or less like we're going through the motions. If we
Kawhi,
win, it's cool. If
Kawhi
not,
definitely don't have that juice that he used to.
he just don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
He's in every other commercial though.
yeah. So follow that up with the 76ers. I think they probably needed also. I think the Nets and the Sixers need to meet in the finals in order to make both those teams satisfied. I think the Nets, the 76ers, I think with Embiid playing being your lead on that, with Doc Rivers as your new coach, has a championship in his belt, but also pedigree as far as been through the ropes, been through the gauntlet of the playoffs. I think he'll come with a good game plan, and it's going to come down to whether the players can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I think Embiid needs to keep playing with the basket to his, with his back to the basket, because that's your key to the championship.
100%.
Yeah, regardless of who they play, he's unstoppable. And also just kind of with the whole trusted process and all that mess that they've put us through for the last 5 years. At this point, what are we going to do if it doesn't work? Because at some point, the process, you got to change and evaluate. And I think after this, if it doesn't work, pretty much everybody not named Embiid is on the block to get traded, and they'll try to put a team around him.
They should have pushed harder for Harden, my opinion.
I agree. And I agree with that. And then I remember this and forget it all the time, but they passed on Jason Tatum. So.
Oh, then they got Markel.
Yeah. So if you put Jason Tatum on this damn team, oh my God.
And then he would have had him, Simmons, and Embiid.
Then Simmons is 100% better because you don't need him to do the things he can't do.
Play point guard, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think about that a lot, like what they left on the table with that and how good they are with that still. So yeah. And lastly, I would say I kind of like the Chris Paul idea as far as just if he can put this together. I think he's one of the guys where he's obviously phenomenal. Been one of the best point guards in the league since forever. But he's always been like top 3. Nobody's ever, you might have mentioned one, but he's like always kind of under the radar. There's been other times where people like Derrick Rose better, people like way back in the day, Darren Williams better than him. Like he's always kind of been the underdog guy. So I think if you can put together a great run this late in your career, it just is the icing on the cake. It's the, he's the ultimate leader. He can, whatever that case is. But I think I do agree with you on that. I think those are the teams that kind of have to win here. And I'm not going to say he has to win, but I would say if LeBron can pull out another one here, that is one of those things where it's just going to shut up that many more people. It would, just another notch under the belt, another, like we were texting about this week, where if they can pull this out from playing in the first ever play-in to being a 7th seed to running through them to maybe meeting with Embiid or the Nets out of the East, that is some of the Superman type shit, some of the superhero shit that people talk about 20, 30 years from now. So that could be just something else he does to I don't know, put like a patch on his coat, more or less. Another patch.
Yeah.
And I really do think I was very impressed with how he put it together last year, and I would say I would be more impressed if he could do it again this year, seeing how him and AD was hurt all season, how it's all worked out. And I would be very impressed if they pull it all again.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. It's just unfortunate that injuries started just popping out of nowhere to where they, it'll be, I ain't gonna call it a miracle because we've seen them do it before, but they'll definitely be like, man, like if we could get, find a way to at least get to the finals again. Yeah. That'd be something for sure.
I agree. And those injuries, that's the name of the game. He's been so damn healthy. It's
crazy.
It might be he's been so healthy, it might be detrimental to him now that he doesn't know how to play injured. He doesn't know, like, he's never, like, he looked like he's never played on a bum ankle before. It's like he's never, so it might be one of those things where he's been so healthy to a fault. Once you do get hurt, it's like, I've never had to play on 80%.
Or deal with it, yeah.
Yeah, never played. So,
right.
Yeah, I think, definitely some exciting basketball. I mean, I sat on the couch all day this weekend just watching them. We got a couple other good ones tonight. And it's just kind of exciting to see where this all goes and who'll be able to put the crown on at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're in the thick of it. So I'm definitely looking forward to this week to be a strong week. We'll try to check in with you guys and see what's going on later on in the week. Talk about some of the games for the weekend, and yeah, it's gonna be a good playoff season for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, they came to boys. They came to play. It's
Hmm.
we got upsets. We got people need to make a name for themselves. We
Yeah.
got
Only thing the world missed out on. I didn't. I like that Memphis is in, but if Golden State would have found a way to
yeah,
get into that 8 seed, it would have been like for
yeah.
the
That'd have
NBA.
been. I
But I
agree.
like
I would
Memphis.
love to see Stefan, but even if John's going to give us a show like this and let us know what we have to look forward to for 10 years, I'm not mad at the little preview either because I think the Warriors will be back in it once they get healthy.
I
Um,
think that's gonna go like that win last night. That's gonna go 6. I think just that
actually,
win alone.
yeah. I mean, who's somebody's hurt right for them right now. Damn, I can't think.
Like Brandon Clark,
Maybe.
that power forward with the braids.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just kind of odd. Somebody, I don't know. Somebody's. You never know who the fuck's gonna play because of the injuries, but it's kind of yeah. I just like the way they look. I like the
maybe
squads.
their ceiling. Like I think they're one of them teams like one more piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his worst thing is
Might
he's
get a
stuck in
star in
Memphis.
there, but just a shooter like a
Right.
lights out kind of guy. Like they'd be pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
agree.
we'll
I
see.
agree.
All in due time.
Yeah, it's coming. Facing
Absolutely.
the here.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. That's all we got for you guys this evening. We'll check in with you sooner rather than later. So peace out.
Yeah, please.